Hello, Sherry Hansen here. I'd like to begin by inviting you to subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'll be placing this and then sharing it with you from there. Also, I would like you to come aboard my sherryhansen.com, which is a blog that's been going on since 2008, discussing my path of, making my way along and learning things and sharing them with you as soon as I do. I'm reading The Art of Communicating from Thich, Nhat, Hanh, and we're just going through 5 minutes a day, which I put up so that, it's not onerous. He's talking now when communicating with other people about the fourth mantra. The fourth mantra is a little more difficult, especially of those of us with a lot of pride. You use the fourth mantra when you suffer and you believe that the other person has caused your suffering. This happens from time to time. If it was someone you didn't care as much about who had said or done that to you, you would have suffered less. But when someone you love says something that feels critical or dismissive, you suffer deeply. If we suffer, we don't look deeply into our suffering and find compassion for ourselves. And the other person, we may want to punish the person who hurt us because he or she has dared to make us suffer. When we suffer, we think it's the other person's fault for not appreciating us enough or loving us enough. Many of us have a natural tendency to want to punish the other person. One way we think of punishing the other person is to show that we can survive without him or her. Many of us have made this mistake. I myself have also made that mistake. But we learn. We want to show the other person that without him or her we can survive very well. This is an indirect way of saying, I don't need you. But that's not true. In fact, when we suffer, we need others. When we suffer, we should tell others that we suffer and that we need their help. We usually do the opposite. We don't want to go and ask for help, and that's why we need the fourth mantra. I suffer. Please help me. It's so simple. And it's also a little bit difficult. But if you can bring yourself to pronounce the mantra right away, you suffer less. I guarantee it. So please write that sentence down on a piece of paper the size of a credit card and put it in your wallet. It's a magic formula. I suffer. Help me. If you don't practice this mantra, you may be sulking if others notice that something is wrong. That maybe you suffer. They might try to comfort you and say, are you suffering? When someone asks you this, you might have the tendency to respond, suffer? Well, why should I be suffering? You know that that's not the truth. You suffer deeply, and yet you pretend that you don't suffer. You're being untruthful as a way of punishing the other person. If he or she tries to come close and put a hand on your shoulder, you may want to snap, leave me alone. I can survive very well without you. Many of us commit that kind of mistake, but we can learn. Practicing the mantra, you do the opposite. You have to recognize that you suffer. The mantra can also be a little longer if it feels more appropriate to the situation. I suffer. I want you to know it. I don't understand why you did or said what you did, so please explain. I need your help. That is true love. To say, I don't suffer, I don't need your help, is not the language of true love. The next time you suffer and you believe it's the other person's fault and that she is the cause of your suffering, remember to take out the paper and read it, and you will know exactly what to do. Practice the fourth mantra. According to our practice in Plum Village, you have the right to suffer 24 hours, but not more. There's a deadline. The deadline is 24 hours, and you have to practice the fourth mantra before the deadline. You have your phone, you have your computer. I'm sure that when you are able to bring yourself to write it down, you will suffer less right away. If you aren't calm enough within 24 hours to practice the fourth mantra, you can write it down on a piece of paper and leave it on the other person's desk or somewhere it is sure to be seen. The mantra can be further broken down into 3 sentences. The first is, I suffer and I want you to know. That's sharing yourself with the person you care about. You share your happiness with each other. You also need to share your suffering. The second sentence is, I am doing my best. It means I am practicing mindfulness, and when I get angry, I won't say anything that can cause damage to myself or to you. I am practicing mindful breathing, mindful walking, and looking deeply into my suffering to find the roots of my suffering. I believe that you have caused my suffering, but I know I shouldn't be too sure about that. I'm looking to see whether my suffering has come from a wrong perception on my part. Maybe you didn't mean to say it. Maybe you didn't want to do it. I'm now doing my best to practice looking deeply, to recognize my anger and embrace it tenderly. The second sentence is an invitation for the other person to do the same, to practice like you are. When the other person gets the message, he might say to himself, oh, I didn't know that she was suffering. What have I done or said to make her suffer like that? It is an invitation for the other person to also practice looking deeply. If one of you finds out the cause, that person should communicate right away and apologize for being unskillful so that the other person doesn't continue to suffer. So the second sentence is an invitation for both sides to look deeply, to be aware of what's going on, and investigate the real cause of the suffering. It's a recognition that the other person is human and is doing his or her best at the time, and that we are doing our best as well. The third sentence is, please help. This sentence acknowledges that we can't figure it all out on our own. We need each other. This is perhaps the hardest part. The 3 sentences together are, I suffer, and I want you to know I am doing my best. Please help. And this is very specific advice that he has used in Plum Village. A lot of people would go to Plum Village and go for the meditation practice and also for counseling. And I think it's a wonderful rule that you can only suffer for 24 hours. And then after that, you need to talk to the person that you think has caused your suffering and do it in a way that's mindful and gentle and is asking, what the heck went on? It takes a lot of courage to be that open. It takes a lot of courage to communicate in a way that isn't drama or a story, and that is totally focused on resolving perceptions that might be in error. So be brave. 24 hours, be brave. Thank you.